Good morning, Grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka BlenderEd, Blender HD. If you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Friday, June 24th. You know what we do on Fridays? It's Fighting Fridays. We fight to the death on Fridays. Maybe not to the death, right? MMA, there are rules that they're not going to fight to the death. Well, I'm going to be doing this show to the death. I have a bit of a sore throat today. So now hopefully I don't lose my voice halfway through the show. Maybe it'll be a little shorter show then. For MMA Fighting Fridays, give me those thumbs ups. When you're here in the chat, give me the thumbs up, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. There's a big MLB slate today, 14 games, and they'll be taking care of you the rest of the day. Right, live locks on the Scores and Odds channel. Grinders live later today at 5 Eastern. Crunch time, which is free. 6:20. They'll be taking care of all of your MLB needs, but we got a card tomorrow for MMA, 12 fight card. Late start, 7 o'clock Eastern. So it almost feels like a pay-per-view card, but it's not. It's only 12 fights. So it's a little bit smaller. I mean, 12 is. I mean, it depends on what you consider to be like normal in MMA. Like 9 or 10 fights, that's a small card. 11 is like the cutoff, right? 12 is like, okay, this is doable. I prefer 14 and 15 fight cards, or at least 13. So 12, you're getting into the realm, especially with some of this pricing, that you're gonna run into a lot of duplicates in certain combinations. So we'll be going over that. Good morning, Suki Singh in the chat. Sharpshooter GX, Mari Don Yeezy with the coffee, which I don't drink anymore. I have some mango, some type of mango smoothie type of thing that I'm drinking early in the morning. Okay, so if you want all the fight breakdowns, you got to subscribe to RotoGrinders Premium. You can just do the MMA. I mean, I would suggest the combo premium. We got all the sports that get covered under there. You get access to everything. Lineup HQ, all the projections for all the sports. You get the $1 million musings. You get all the Slate IQ stuff for MLB. You get there's so much stuff. For MMA, you get the Ground and Pound podcast, and then you also get the expert survey, which I'm part of, and we did almost a 2-hour. The two-hour preview, ranking down all the fights. Liam typically breaks down the fights from a purely MMA and betting perspective. I apply my DFS strategy to it, and Mike leads us through the whole way, but a little bit of both. So subscribe to RotoGrinders Premium, rotogrinders.com/premium. You get $10 off your first month if you subscribe today. So go for it. So looking at my modified odd sheet, so I just have the RG stuff on here. My model incorporates a bunch of other sites as well, but according to this, I mean, essentially we got 9K fighters that are all going to be very well owned. We got Nurmagomedov at 9,500. We got Rachmanov at 9,300, and then the main event favorite Arman Sarukian at 9,100. Okay, a lot of the stuff in the mid-range is a mix. Like outside, I think on the underdog side, the popular plays are going to be Gamrot, which is the main event underdog, and Rodolfo Vieira, who is plus 145 inside the distance at a $7,600 underdog, going against Chris Curtis. Like that's the fight that's most likely to end in the first round. Like that's the shortest fight based on the inside the distance lines. So I think those types of combinations will be popular. Then we also got like Chris in the mid-range, TJ Brown, very high upside chain wrestler. I got Chris Curtis. Like that Curtis Vieira fight is that's gonna decide the slate. I mean, essentially, either Chris Curtis knocks Vieira out, or Vieira gets a first-round submission, because Vieira is like one of the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners, like in the history of that have joined the MMA, that joined the UFC, because he didn't fight MMA before, but the world champion in BJJ. So it's going to be one or the other probably. Then we also got this mid-range fight, $8,200, $8,000 fight between Baez and Durden. We got Bordeaux versus Parisian, which is like two of the worst heavyweights on the entire roster. And someone's going to randomly knock one of the other guys out in that fight. And then we got Tafon Nchukwi, who actually opened as an underdog, but now is the favorite, -125. So he has line value. So his ownership is going to go up a bit. So I would figure in the top range, we're going to see like basically three 9K fighters. Not Frey, not Moises, but Nurmagomedov, Rachmanov, Sarukian, Nchukwi, Vieira, Gamrot. If you're going to play that style of lineup in large field contests, you might as well just throw it out. Just throw it out. Just chuck it out. You're going to be duplicated too much. Okay. Now, I could just show you right in here. Look, we do what we normally do every week. We talk about combinations. We're looking to win a large field contest solo, if possible, but with as little duplication as you can. Okay? So we don't even have to go to the combo calculator, right? I mean, we can. Like, I have this little combo calculator, right? I don't know. These are last week's numbers, but they're about the same. 31,372 entries for the throwdown. I think that's fine. But let's say we put in the top 3 in ownership. Let's go even RG ownership. I'm going to go by like my aggregate of mine. I'm just adjusting. This is my final ownership. But let's say we got 49, 42, and 44. Okay, so we're going to put that in. 49, 42, 44. 49, 42, 44. We got a product ownership, projected ownership of 9%. 2,841 lineups. Potentially having that exact 3 combination. If we lock these guys in, the average salary remaining for 3 fighters is $73.67. And assuming that you're not stacking, like how many combinations could there be? Because I mean, these are you can't use 3 of the 4 of the biggest underdogs. So like I'll press the build button. How many combinations are there? 13. 13 combinations in total. Even if you leave salary, you barely could even leave salary on the table. 49-4. If you just play the 2, right? If you play Shailin, Demopoulos, and Giagos, right? That's still 181% total ownership. I mean, 13 lineups. So the average duplication of 13 lineups, I mean, look, 218. And if we go to like, let's go by the highest projected. Like if you're going to play this lineup, for instance, 50,000, right? Is this the highest owned? I think this is the highest owned. Yes. Those 3 guys plus Kelleher, Vieira, and Demopoulos, like good luck. Good luck on your $3 or whatever. That you're gonna split first 700 ways for a couple of bucks or something, whatever it is. If you're playing 1 entry, sure. I mean, it's not profitable. I always have to defend myself. That's like, yes, even on 1 slate, it's like, well, I spent $15 and I won first and I split and I got $632. It's like, if you did that every day, every slate or whatever, you'd lose money to be a duplicate like 400 times. So this is the type of lineup that you just throw out. Even in small field, this may be duped several times. Right, 50,000 in salary. Right, here's another 50. Vieira, Nurmagomedov, and Giagos. A little bit lower on because you got Nurmagomedov and Giagos are a little bit lower, but still, this could be duplicated. I don't know, 70 times. People are going to try to jam in these 3 guys, especially with Vieira. Vieira's probably going to be 30+% owned. We even see some of these Paiva, Shailin, Demopoulos, like none of these combos, none of them are good. Okay. Now let's say you just had the top 2. So we missed the main event, top 2 and Gamrot. Okay, so if you're not playing Sarukian, a lot of people are going to be playing Gamrot at 31% owned. Okay, so we're going to do 43. What are we doing based on my odds? Let's see. So the top 2, 49 and 42 and 31 and 32. Okay. So 49, 42, 32. 49, 42, 32. Well, I mean, we don't have 13 combinations, but still 6.59 product projected ownership. Like how many combinations? Okay, we have 80 33 left. I mean, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of combinations of Nurmagomedov, Rachmanov, and Gamrot. So you wouldn't be playing Sarukian in this lineup. So I'm going to press the button. Still get plenty of lineups at 8,000 remaining salary. I mean, maybe over 300. Just take a look. I mean, because even if we get 300, I mean, if it ends up being over 300, I mean, nope, you're going to get some unique lineups, even at 300. Some won't be. For 3 remaining spots. Okay, so it's enough. You could probably find lineups even with 2 of them. So I don't necessarily have to make a group of only one of these 3. I can make Nurmagomedov, Rachmanov lineups. There's enough of them. But like, is there a secondary combination that I shouldn't be making? So let's go here. So we already, obviously, Sarukian we threw out. Playing all 3 of these guys, Nurmagomedov, Rachmanov, and Sarukian, just out of the question. Okay, so let's throw in Vieira. So Vieira at like 30-ish% as another underdog. Right? Average remaining player salary is $8,250. Okay, so we're going to go back into the combo calculator. Fighter 4 is like 30% owned. So 1.98 product ownership. About 2% of lineups will have this exact combination. 620 in the large field contest. So now let's see how many combinations of this there are. Gamrot, Vieira, Nurmagomedov, Rachmanov. 70. So we go here with a combo calculator. We put in 70. Average dupes 8. Okay, maybe some of them have you could be unique. I don't know. Average dupes 8. Let's take a look at the salary ranges. So yeah, at 49.9 maybe, but let's say the salary low to high. Yeah, like 47.7. Like this would probably be a unique lineup. I'm not saying it would be great from a win probabilities perspective, playing 4 underdogs on the slate. But at least at these low salary ranges, like we saw in this, whenever this number here is average dupes. So I mean, some lineups could be duped 40 times, and other lineups could be unique or duped twice or something. So this isn't an exact. This is a very blunt methodology on trying to figure out if your lineups are too duplicated. So there are some lineups, as long as you leave money on the table, enough money on the table. We go salary high to low. I mean, like this type of lineup. I mean, Frey isn't going to be that owned, but still, even in this combination, like this lineup could still be duped over 5 times. We take a look at over here. Ulberg buys 50,000. Yeah, like these 50K lineups. Like if I were to have these four fighters together, like Nurmagomedov, Rachmanov, Gamrot, and Vieira, I'd probably say I don't want these 50K lineups. Maybe I don't mind the 49.5 lineups. Maybe I don't mind the 49K lineups. You know, you hope Gamrot wins the main event, scores over 100 points, Vieira, first round sub, Rachmanov, Nurmagomedov smash, and then you're fine. So there are some lineups in this combination that could be doable, but at a very low salary range. So it'd be the type of thing in lineup HQ that if you wanted some of those lineups, I would make a separate build for those. And let's say you wanted 10 of those style of lineups, that you just pick the 10 that you want out of there, and then you make a group for your main build that doesn't have any of them. Because in your main build, you could possibly spend 50,000 salary and still get a unique lineup. It's less probable that, there's less of the 49.5 plus lineups that are going to be unique, but there are going to be some there are. Okay, so let's try this now. Instead of Gamrot, we put Vieira there, and we take out Rachmanov and put in Sarukian, the main event favorite. Okay, we're just looking for the highest owned fighters. Okay, we can't play Gamrot, and we also play Curtis, who's also should be 30% owned. Okay, so average remaining player salary is 7,600. This is gonna be tight. Okay, let's look at the ownership. So we're going to be doing Nurmagomedov at 49, Sarukian at 44, Curtis at 34, 49, 44, 34. Vieira, 33. 49, 44, 34. 49, 49, 34, 44, 33. Okay? That's with Vieira in the lineup. So we'll go back here. We'll lock that in. Right, here we go. These four. 7,600 remaining average salary. Let's see how many combinations there are. Oh, hello. It's giving me an error now. Can I do this? Let me reload. I guarantee you there aren't enough combinations. It's 2% of lineups, and there's only 2 spots remaining, and it's 76 average salary. I can't see there being what, maybe 30 combinations, maybe. So I reloaded this. Right, I should get something. Right, Durden. You may not even be able to get the combinations because, well, 2 underdogs. No, you should be able to fit things in here. No, I don't. I don't know why it's not giving me these 4. You should be able to fit, right, even without Gamrot. Or maybe I'm wrong. Because you can put in Magny, you can put in Demopoulos, right? That's 48-7. So yeah, there are combinations. I don't know why lineup HQ isn't running with this. Let's say I do it without Vieira. Okay, there we go. We're going to get plenty of combos for the last 3 spots. So there's no point in doing that. But this is the way I'm showing you how to use lineup HQ to experiment to see what groups create the most duplicated lineups. Not what groups are more likely to win or whatever. It's quite possible that 50K lineup with Nurmagomedov, Sarukian, and Rachmanov with Demopoulos and Kelleher and whatever, like that could be the most likely lineup to win first. But when it wins first 400 ways. I'd rather take a little less win probability, but win first solo, win first under 5 dupes. You make more money. And that's what expected value is. So that's why in the show, I'm not necessarily talking about the fights. What's most likely to happen? It's like, no, what lineups are less likely to be duped while still having a high enough win probability? So I'm not suggesting you go in and go, okay, I'm going to just lock in, let's see, like the 6 biggest underdogs, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's unique, right? You're spending 42.2. You're leaving 7,800 on the table, and this is going to be a unique line. I could guarantee you that. But what's the likelihood of not only 6 of these 6 biggest underdogs winning, but winning and also putting up the optimal score, where they're also the 6 highest scoring fighters. So it's not just winning, right? Oh, maybe they all win and they all get 70 points, and you still don't even cash. You probably do cash, yeah. If all these guys, if all of them win, you're going to cash because of all the ownership on the other end of the spectrum, right? If Maness and Magny both, win a low-scoring decision and that all these are low-scoring type of things, like tons of all these other guys are going to have very low scores also. But it's very unlikely that this type of lineup is the optimal lineup. So there's a balance between being unique, being less duplicated. Do you have to be absolutely unique? No. You have to be unique enough that it's plus EV for your lineup over a long period of time to be profitable. So some lineups with decent win probability may be duped 2 or 3 times, and that's still profitable because even a 3-way split for first is worth it for that win probability. Some have less win probability, so you better make sure it's unique. Right? Imagine playing that 6 underdog lineup, the 6 biggest underdogs, and going, this has the lowest likelihood of coming in first place, and then it's duplicated by one other person. Like you're dead. You're dead at that point. Like the lower the win probability of the lineup in total, the more that duplication affects it. Imagine there was one lineup that was way higher to win than anything else. And that was going to be duplicated 12 times. I mean, it probably would be more than that. The difference between 12 times and 13 times is not dramatic because of the outsized win probability of that lineup. And a low probability lineup, you better make sure it's unique. The lower you go, the more that duplication will hurt you. Okay. Mario Donyezy's hitting all the YouTube buttons for me. Yeah, hit that thumbs up button. This will be a short show. I'm scratchy throat. I don't know if it's allergies. It's been hot. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. Apparently it's horrible in the Ohio Valley for allergies. But according to my odds sheet, let's go here to my copy. The highest rated fighter in my model, I knew what it was going to be, but before I even started, is Jin Yu Fry. That doesn't make me feel good, and only because of ownership. Like, she's plus 265 inside the distance at a minus 225 money line. It's the first fight of the night. It's a women's fight, 9,200, 7,000, and neither of them are good. This is low level women's MMA. And no one, and people are going to play Demopolis because they're going to need someone low. If you're going to try to jam in 3 9K fighters, you're going to need someone other than Gamrot in this low end. So I think people, since barely anyone's going to play Frey, they're going to play Demopolis, and she sucks also, right? Demopolis pretty much just gets pummeled on the feet. She can't wrestle, even though she can submit someone. But how does that get to the mat? Who knows? This fight is awful. I put in the expert survey as the fight that's least likely to target. But the fact that Frey is even plus 265 inside the distance, plus 525 in the first round for Jin Yu Frey. Right? Most people, you look at the analysis and go, Jin Yu Frey, first round finish. And you go, how likely is that? Right? People will act as if that can never happen. No, the first round finish for Jin Yu Frey? Well, according to the betting line, it's 16%. Okay, that is a low probability. Okay, I get it. It's low probability. But if her ownership is going to be under that, then why not take a shot? Am I going to have a lot of that? No. But I know the reason why her rating is going to be high in my sheet. And it's primarily due to the ownership. Her efficient ownership probably should be like 18%. And she may even be 10. She may be single digit. She may come in at 9% owned. The problem is with Frey is that even if she wins in the first round, let's say, and scores, let's say, 107 points. Well, it's quite possible Nurmagomedov, Rachmanov, and Sarukian could outscore that. It's possible TJ Brown outscores that. It's possible Curtis or Morozov or Bordeaux buys or Durden. I mean, like, there's a lot of guys that can score 100-plus points on this slate. The least likely to be able to do so as a favorite is Jin Yu Fry, and she's 9,200. She has to be like a top 4 scorer on the slate to be optimal. So it's not just the ownership and the odds or whatever. Yes, she rates out well because of ownership compared to the odds. But it's still possible that, yes, it's possible she gets a first-round finish and still isn't optimal. Only because we have so many other fighters in this range that can be. On a different slate, I'd end up with more of her. Right? Where if the fighters above them are also like decision point fighters, not grapplers. We had like Adrian Yanez last week. Right? Someone that I don't expect. Yeah, maybe they score 100, 105, but can they score 130? Probably not. But we have too many of those types of guys on this slate. Look at all these inside the distance lines for the favorites. Jin Yu Fry is the highest inside the distance. TJ Brown is also plus 265, but TJ Brown could have 14 takedowns this fight. I mean, I don't know about 14, but a lot. So TJ Brown could get 120 plus points in a decision. Fry, most likely not. 7 million strikes or something. I don't know how she'd do it. So it's a $9,200 fit. Like if Fry was 8,400, that would be a different story. But she's a minus 225 favorite. Really, if based on the win odds currently, if they repriced the slate on DraftKings, she'd be 9,000. Right? You could just go by the money line. Just sort the money line in order, and then that's how they price on DraftKings. So you could see where the line value is. And this is more for cash games, probably. But like Sarukian would be 9,200, Moises would be 9,100, Frey would be 9,000. Right? TJ Brown would still be 8,900. Bautista would still be 8,700. Then we'd have Morozov at 86. Right? So he has $100 worth of line value. Then we'd have Curtis at 85. And then we'd have Nchukwi at 84. So he has $500 worth of line value. 83 Bordeaux, so he's a little overpriced by 100. And then the Bies and Durden would still be in that range. And Olberg would be a 79. Well, actually, Parisian would be 7,900. And Olberg would be 7,700, I believe. No, 7,900, 7,800. So Olberg is actually $500 overpriced. If DK redid the pricing as of now based on how they normally do it. So that's why like Olberg is going to be much less owned because he's priced as an $8,300 favorite when the line is now shifted so that Nchukwi is the favorite and he's $400 cheaper, which makes it a decent leverage play. The problem with this fight is like Olberg is basically to 100 points. He doesn't wrestle. He needs basically a first-round knockout, and if he doesn't get that, I don't see how he scores 100 points. He's just a kickboxer. But these are the considerations that are going in. So, looking at even at these ratings here, so obviously, Nurmagomedov, Rachmanov rate out well, just due to the ceiling. I mean, and inside the distance line. Frey rates out well only due to ownership. If you told me she was 22% owned, she would rate horribly. Like if I change this so it comes out 30%, yeah, she'd be the worst. She'd be horrible. Right? So she only rates well because I expect her to be like 10 to 14% owned. The Moises Giagos fight rates out as under-owned on both sides. This is also a fight that could easily, if Moises wins, and this could be a slow-paced fight. So Moises at 9,000, he could win, and in a decision may only score 72 points. That's the problem with this fight. This fight would look much better if Giagos is aggressive, going for takedowns, and it forces Moises to actually fight. If that happens, this fight is actually under-owned. Not by that much, but it's under-owned somewhat. Then we got Sarukian. To me, I have the main event as significantly enough over-owned. Sarukian and Gamrot. Now, it should be an exciting main event, but I think there's an outsized percentage of the time that people are considering that this fight plays out on its feet more than people think. Because both of these guys could wrestle well. Now, Sarukian, I would say, would be a better wrestler than Gamrot. Then on the feet, Sarukian is more technical than Gamrot, but Gamrot's very durable. And Sarukian has no problem. If he doesn't need to wrestle, he has no problem just getting into just a striking fight, and that's it, and win a 4-1, decision and be fine. And with Nurmagomedov and Rachmanov above him, and then you got TJ Brown and all these other guys that could get knockouts, maybe Sarukian goes the distance. Maybe there's only 1 or 2 takedowns, and maybe he only scores 95 points. For 44% ownership, that's why I have him rated lower. Same for Gamrot on the other side. Gamrot I have is over-owned. Brown, I in fact have as a little over-owned also. His ceiling is immense, though. I have Curtis as over-owned. Curtis, I'll be under the field significantly on Curtis. That's why in the expert survey, he's the guy that I'm most afraid of being underweight to. Because at 8,600, he could get a quick win bonus, and then I'm dead. Then we have guys like Rodolfo Vieira, who's projected to be like 33 or something percent owned, and I still have that as slightly under owned. It's just that his inside the distance line for his price is so ridiculous that he should be like 40% owned. Now maybe he ends up being 40% owned, but I think he'll end up like somewhere in the 32 to 34 range. Then I have like Paiva. Well, Paiva's inside the distance odds actually came up. They were like 320, and now they're plus 275. So he's become a little bit better, but I think he's gonna be a little over-owned. I think Kelleher is gonna be over-owned. I think Kelleher's fine for like cash games if you need an underdog in that range. Like Giagos is not like a cash game play. That's total tournament play. But I think I think any of these guys, like even Paiva, I guess. Like Paiva, Vieira, Kelleher, and Shailin. Like the only one I'm more confident that could put up 100 points out of the four of them is Vieira. Because of submissions and reversals and whatever on the ground. Paiva could get a submission, but he's less likely to really engage in wrestling. And Kelleher is most likely to be striking on the feet. And Shailin, I don't even know, doesn't even do anything. Like he'll go 15 minutes and score like 30 points. Like I don't even know what he does well. Yeah, Peter Corey in chat says Curtis Vieira is like minus 720 inside the distance, right, to finish. Right, exactly. Now, here's a way that the fight busts. Bust for the optimal. I'm not saying bust to cash. Is if Vieira spends the entire first round, Vieira takes him down and spends the entire first round trying to get a sub and doesn't get a sub. So Vieira gets like 25 to 30 points in the first round. And then Curtis in the beginning of the second round just knocks him out. So he gets like 80 points, 82 or something. That's how the fight busts. So yes, it's inside. Yeah, you're right. Minus 20 inside the distance for the whole fight. And then it busts. And it still busts. But there are more paths for Vieira to get 100 points than Curtis. Right, because Curtis basically, I mean, he's not gonna wrestle. Definitely not against Rodolfo Vieira. So basically, he's knockout or bust. Not gonna probably first round knockout or bust for 100 at least. Vieira with the ground game, maybe he could score 100 points in a decision even. Right, one takedown each round. Curtis somehow survives the first two rounds. Third round, still survives, and Vieira ends up with 20, 25 points a round, right? Ends up with 100, 105 points. That's viable. It's unlikely to go to decision. Most likely, if he lands a takedown in each round, Vieira's probably going to get a submission out of one of those three rounds. Being unlikely, Curtis is able to survive three, high-level BJJ ground attempts. Unless obviously Curtis just gets up each time. But I'm just assuming that the fight plays out on the ground more often. But it's a nice card. It's a high variance card. Inside that mid-range, outside of Nurmagomedov, Rakhmonov, and Sarukian, there's a lot of combos you can make in this mid-range. And I would not be shocked. My hot take, it's on the expert survey. My hot take. And my hot take never deals with the outcomes of fights. It has to do with, like, what's the optimal lineup. My hot take is that the optimal, or at least the winning GPP lineup, only has one 9K fighter in it. Okay? Only one 9K fighter. So only one of Nurmagomedov, Rakhmonov, Fry, Sarukian, and Moises. Because inside this mid-range, I think there are a lot of guys that could get 100 points. I think Brown could get 100 points. Bautista, a little bit lower probability. Curtis, obviously, in a first-round knockout can. Morozov can. He could get 100 in a decision if he wrestles a bunch. He could get a knockout. Him and Piva just stands there. He doesn't move his head. Bordeaux Parisian is just a random knockout waiting to happen on either side. Ulberg and Nchukwi, if he wrestles and Ulberg can't get up, Nchukwi could even get 100 in a decision, but Ulberg could just knock him out, right? He's off, and Tafon got knocked out, a couple of months ago. Durden could have like 10 takedowns. He doesn't do anything with them, but Durden could have a bunch of takedowns. Buys could have a first-round submission. That's 100 points. Kelleher could get a knockout. Giagos could land 8 takedowns. Gamrot obviously could win against Sarukian and score 100. Like, I just see a lot of people outside of the 9K range that have a reasonable enough chance at 100 points. So if that's the case, like, unless 2 of these 9K guys both get like 130, 140 points, if we get 5 guys in this range, 5 fighters in this mid-range that score 100, 110 points, the only way to fit those guys in is only with one 9K fighter. You're not going to be able to have 2 of Nurmagomedov, Rakhmonov, and Sarukian. You're going to only need to have, like, it's only going to be one. Even though all these 3 guys could put up 100 plus points, but one of them puts up 130, and then some of these other guys put up 105, 102, 115 or something. And in order to fit them in, you only can fit in salary-wise one 9K fighter. Is that the most likely outcome? No, it isn't. But to me, that's the path of win probability and duplication. If you were to limit your lineups to only one 9K fighter, I think your path to unique lineups is better. Doesn't mean you can't find lineups with 2 9K fighters that are unique. You can. I probably still will have some. But that's why my hot take is that only one 9K fighter is in the optimal lineup. Sharpshooter GX says, after MMA, how's your experiment going? It's only been 4 days. I'm down a little. But remember, it's 4 days. I'm playing 3-mans and 5-mans and contests that pay in that type of structure. So my expectation should be to win only 1 out of every 3 to 5 days, right? 3 or 4 days, right? If I win 1 every 4 days, I should be profitable because I'm only playing those types of contests. So like yesterday, poorly on FanDuel, but doubled my money in total. On DraftKings. So I'm also playing both sites. So like the day before that, like I had a great on FanDuel. I've tripled my money on FanDuel, but pretty much lost it all on DraftKings. Then the day before that, it was the opposite. Now, the day before that, it was a break even on DraftKings, and then I made like 3x on FanDuel. But the first day, I lost on both sides. But the first day, if you remember on the Tuesday show, I don't think I was different enough. And it wouldn't have mattered. I think I would have lost regardless of what I did. But I need a way bigger sample size. This is like, this experiment is going to have to last weeks and weeks. And for the most part, I'm judging stuff in the beginning by how different am I? Projection versus ownership in my 3-mans, 5-mans, 10-mans, triple ups. Just downloading the triple update, like the 62-man DK triple up, and seeing where I was off. Like I thought there'd be more overlap between these two players, and there wasn't. And there was way more overlap between these 2 players. That's pretty much what I'm trying to do. How do I play the highest projected lineup that has the least amount of overlap with my opponents? So obviously going to have to judge it that way. Same way in GPP, I'm judging based on ownership, right? If I play Jinyu Fry in lineups expecting leverage, expecting her to be 10% owned, and she comes in at 22, then my lineups are all screwed up. Now, I don't think she's going to come in at 22% owned. But the lineups, if they're too chalky, then it's because I miscalculated ownership and built my lineups poorly based on that. Sometimes you luck into the other way. Sometimes you make an accident and actually, oh, I thought this guy would be very, very popular, and he ends up being low owned. And those lineups actually are way too leveraged. But I'd almost rather be in GPP too leveraged than too chalky. But yeah, I'm gonna need obviously more data on the MLB 3-man, 5-man, triple up, double up. I'm making 2 lineups also. So I'm making one lineup for quote cash, which aren't double ups, but triple up pluses, and then one lineup for like the single entry small field GPPs. So like it basically one lineup is just whatever the least overlapped optimal is, and the other lineup is that same type of lineup but with a 5-man stack. So that's pretty much the difference. So like in the progressive payout GPPs, like I'm playing a stack. But in the triple ups, quintuple ups, where, yeah, you still need to get up to like 9 out of 31 or 5 out of 28. But once you get up to 5 out of 28, you don't get any more money. So I don't need to play a stack in those contests if I'm not playing an overlapping lineup with a lot of the field. But for like the 121 single entry on DraftKings, yeah, I'm going to play a 5-man stack. 5-man stack, assuming it's a large enough. 14-game slate tonight, it's going to be a 5-man stack. Well, but after a couple of weeks, I'll load the stuff into Roto Tracker. We'll take a look at it. We'll do that during the MLB days. But today's MMA. So if you want to find out more, break down the fights, go subscribe to RotoGrinders Premium. Get the combo package. You get the MLB, get everything. Get all of the tools, plate IQ, the slate IQ, the smash percentage tool, the everything. The lineup, you get full access to lineup HQ, all the projections, all the ownership, all the sports, all the everything. You get to listen to the MMA Ground and Pound podcast. That's premium. The expert survey, premium for MMA. Lineup HQ is to me the best tool. I mean, I would pay just for that. I mean, I have in the past, right? I was a RotoGrinders subscriber way before I was a host here. So I eat my own dog food. So click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. Give me those thumbs ups. Give me the thumbs up button on your way out the door. On your way out the door, hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. You'll know when everyone goes live later today. They'll be going over the MLB slate. 5 o'clock Eastern, Grinders Live. 6:20 Crunch Time, presented by FanDuel. And, yeah, I'll be playing MLB tonight. Continuing on my experiment. And then the MMA slate. UFC tomorrow. Still got that tiebreaker. I got a 4-man tiebreaker, top 2. Let's see how many ties are going to be in this one. But I'll see you. I'll see you on the other side of the weekend. Back on Mondays. So I'll be back with James on Mondays. We'll be talking about stuff and answering your DFS strategy questions, as I always do, on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.